Hi guys, I think I'm live now. If you can see me and if you can hear me, please do message in the chat and then we can start today's session. How many of you attended yesterday's stream? So I think I can see a lot of people. Hi Joydish. I always feel very happy whenever Joydeep messages. Joydeep is one of our regular audience. So it is good to see these kind of people come to our streams regularly. Hi Chinmay. Hi Sai Chalpati. Hi Thiru. Hi Nikhil. Let me start answering a few questions. I think Chinmay has asked a question. Sir, my all-time high was 77 marks in Dashcat. What can I expect? See, in general, what I tell myself or what I tell students is that in the last 3-4 days, everything that you're doing, every thought you're having, it should at least be focused on trying to improve your performance on the day of the examination. That is how you should look at it. For example, in the last 3 days, if you feel that, okay, if I go out and eat in a restaurant, will it help me on Sunday or will it not help me on Sunday? The way I look at it is, if you're going out and if you're eating food from outside, there is a chance that you might have some stomach upset, which will impact the way or how energetic you feel on the day of the examination, which is not good. In a similar way, if you're having thoughts about say if you're feeling some negative thoughts, if you're feeling that, okay, my all-time high score is 77, will I be able to replicate something like that on the day of the examination? Will I do better than that? Will I do worse than that? Those kind of thoughts, I feel, are not going to help you on the day of the examination, because I feel your brain has limited capacity. Now use that capacity to perform well on the day of the examination. Don't let thoughts which will not help you perform better stay in your mind for long. So that is how I would answer it. Basically, the answer is that it won't matter how much you scored 10 weeks ago or a few months back in whatever Dashcat is not going to impact your performance on the day of the examination. So don't let that thought be in your mind. The way your attitude should be is that, okay, I have 3 days left. What should I do in these 3 days? And on the day of the examination, what should I do? How should I be very focused on the day of the examination? This is what you should keep thinking about, and that is what we will discuss today. What I want to tell you today is how should you approach the examination. That is, on the day of the examination, how should you train yourself and how should you prepare yourself mentally. That is what we are going to look today. Let me answer a few questions and after that we'll start the stream. Shubhab Shraba Sabuti Singh, sir, last 5 days I was having fever. I have not given a mock for the last 5-6 days. What should I do? That is okay. In general, what I feel is I believe in processes. So basically, if you have taken mocks in the last 4-5 months, if you have taken one mock every 2 weeks or one mock every week, then missing out on a few days won't really matter. And on the flip side, if you haven't taken a lot of mocks in the last 3-4 months, and if you are suddenly taking a lot of mocks now, it won't help you a lot. So that is how I look at it. So if you are missing out on 5-6 days because of fever, if you're not taking mocks, don't worry about it. That wouldn't matter much. What will impact you is if on the day of the examination you're still feeling sick. That is going to impact your performance on the day of the examination. So what you should do is take complete rest for the next 1-2 days and try to get better. Try to get back physically to the best possible state. And then on the last 2-3 days, watch a lot of revision videos. Now people ask me what are the revision videos. I'll tell you what you should do on Saturday. On Saturday, I would recommend you to go through the revision videos that Saili has made. There are 4 revision videos, 2 revision videos in quant, 1 revision video in verbal and 1 revision video in LRDA. They are very, very good, very, very useful. The quant videos are, 1 video is 2 hours long, 1 video is 1 hour long, so that is 3 hours. There is 1 hour video in verbal and I think 1.5 hour video in LRDA. So overall in 5.5 hours, you will cover the entire portion of quant. And if there is a topic which is teaching you, which you are already familiar with, maybe you can speed it up to 1.5 times the actual speed so that you can cover the entire portion faster. But that I think is the best way in which you can use the last 3-4 days. That is one thing. And on the day of the examination, if you are from slot 1, the first tip I'm going to give you is if you are in slot 1 and if you know where your examination center is and if it is far away, most likely your examination center will be far away, then try to see if you can book a hotel room nearby so that you are not tired on the day of the examination. On slot 1, if the examination is starting very early in the morning, I think the first slot is at 8:30 a.m. Now, if it is starting very early, is it at 8:30? I think 8:30, 12:30 and 4:30. Yeah, most likely it is at 8:30. So if it is at 8:30, then you should, and if it is far away from your house, for you to travel there, it is going to take you an hour, hour and a half. So you should start from your home at around 6 o'clock or 6:30. And it is winter. Most likely it will be very cold outside. So you don't want to rush, you don't want to go there. And just the fact that you have to start at 6 a.m. is going to play on your mind, in addition to the stress that you're going to have about the examination. So you might not even sleep properly. All of this will definitely impact how you perform on the day of the examination. So to improve your performance a little, I would recommend you to book a hotel nearby, stay there for the night, maybe go with your mother or father or some parent, stay there and then go to the examination so that you get some extra time to sleep. You will also feel slightly less stressed out. You will not be very tired actually traveling there, and then you will perform slightly better. That is what I would recommend for students who are in slot 1. Bhumika Bhatt is saying, your revision video, sir, great. Thanks a lot, Bhumika. Jay Kishan is saying, my slot is slot 3. Should I check how many questions have come in slot 1 and slot 2? Don't actively check. Don't keep, basically don't let that impact your brain. Don't keep that in the back of your mind when slot 1 is going on or slot 2 is going on, that you should get some feedback. How is the difficulty level? How many questions are there? Because then your brain gets tired. The way I look at it is, if you give your brain rest, it will perform better on the in your slot. If your brain is getting worked up, if it is thinking about unnecessary things, then your brain will get tired, and on the day or at the time of your slot, you will not perform very well. So don't let these kind of thoughts impact you. Whatever information is there, whatever useful information is there or important information is there, it is going to reach you. Yours is slot 3, that is at 4:30 p.m. Whatever information is important, you will get to know of it. So don't go seek for it, or don't let it stay in your brain for long. Bhumika Bhatt is saying, DLR is making me anxious. What to do to regain confidence? Helps to get 10 questions correct in the official CAT. Need your blessings. My blessings are always there with you. My blessings are always there with hardworking students. So that is not a issue. What I would tell you to gain confidence is solve CAT 2021 slot 1, slot 2, slot 3 DLR sets. You know where you can download the CAT 2021 PDF. You can just Google search Cracku CAT previous papers, and then you will be taken to our CAT previous paper site. There you can download all the PDFs for free. And in the PDF, there is also a button where you can click on it and you can watch the video solutions if you are not understanding the text solutions, even though the text solutions I think are very, very good. So to gain confidence, definitely look at CAT 2021 LRDI sets from all the 3 slots. Surbhi Kale is saying, how to maximize attempts in quant with good accuracy. The way to look at it, one of the tips with respect to quant, which I follow, is that I ensure that I don't waste a lot of time in any question. That is very, very important. And in general, I tend to do very well in quant. And the trick is very simply that, where when I look at a question, and after 30 seconds or 40 seconds, if I feel that this seems to be a very lengthy question, or after a minute, if it feels like this is a lengthy question, then I have no qualms in actually leaving it there and going to the next question. That is very, very important, because in quant, you will be able to come back to this question. That coming back doesn't happen in verbal. In verbal, for example, in reading comprehension, I try to look at a question, and if I feel that, okay, I'm not making any headway into it, then I either put some answer, whatever I feel is the best out of the 4 options, or I leave that question and then go to the next question with the understanding that I'm not going to come back to this question. In verbal, I don't feel that there will ever be enough time, especially for somebody who is trying to answer all the questions, to really come back and again take a shot at it. That won't happen in verbal. That will definitely not happen in LRDI. In LRDI, if you put in effort, if you put in 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and you are not able to solve the set, then most likely that is gone. You should try and attempt a new set. That set you are not going to come back, which is fine with it. You should be fine with that. But in quant, it is not like that. In quant, I always feel that if you look at a question, if it feels like a lengthy question, you leave it, go to the next question. In this way, you will cover all the questions. Some of the questions you have left unattempted, but you will still have some time left. And in my opinion, at the back of your brain, subconsciously, your brain is still working on the questions that you have attempted and not solved. Because then when I go back to the question, I realize that I'm able to immediately get that question correct, or at least I'm able to solve it much faster, at least many of the questions. That is what I do, and that is what helps me in attempting nearly all the quant questions most of the times. Amit Chandrasekhar is saying, sir, my quant is decent, but I have been committing a lot of small silly mistakes. How to avoid? Should I check the steps once again before confirming the answer? I would recommend you to do that. Sometimes what I do is, there are tricks that I do where psychology matters a lot. Psychologically, you should be prepared for the examination. So if you keep telling yourself, if you tell yourself aloud when you're alone, you should tell yourself that I'm not going to commit any silly mistakes. I won't commit any silly mistakes. The way you tell this, you are reinforcing it in your brain that you don't want to commit any silly mistakes. Why does that matter? Because many times I have noticed that silly mistakes happen once when you're answering a quant question, once you figure out the method in which you should solve it, and till then your brain is working actively. Once you have figured out that, okay, if I do this, then there are some calculations, some multiplication and divisions. Once I do it, I'll get the answer. And once you're doing it, you switch off your brain because you feel that whatever effort was needed, you have already put in. You have solved this question, but you haven't approached the final answer. Then your brain tunes out because it is basically conserving its energy. And then you make some silly mistake at the end. Something like, say, what is 6 into 8? Instead of writing 48, you write 64 because you answer it as 8 into 8. Now, these kind of things happen most of the time after you have solved the set, after you put in the effort, after you've gotten the question correct. But when you're doing the steps, which you feel is slightly mechanical, subconsciously your brain dozes off and then you make a mistake. Now, to avoid that, you have to keep reinforcing it to yourself before the exam starts that you're not going to make any silly mistakes. Your brain will actively be there till you get to the final answer. And once you get to the final answer, silly mistakes at least should not happen in non-theta questions, in MCQs. In MCQs, once you get a answer, you should try to figure out if this makes sense. Every time I do that, if not deliberately, at least subconsciously, I try to see if an answer makes sense. For example, in a permutations combinations question, if you're asked how many arrangements are there, you are given some number of balls here, some pens here, something, and what is the number of arrangements that are possible. And once you're getting a final answer, you feel that the answer should be a good number, a nice number. What do I mean by a nice number? A number which has a lot of nice factors. Something like, say, 720, which is 6 factorial, seems like a nice number. But something like, say, 700, on the other hand, doesn't feel like a good number. 700 feels like it is 7 into 100. Somehow it doesn't feel like the answer for an arrangements question. So once you're getting that kind of an answer, you should again circle back and try to see if this is actually correct. But if you're getting an answer which is like, say, 720 or 960, a number which has a lot of nice factors, then probably you need not cross check. That is, again, these are tricks that you get with experience. But the most important way in which you can cut down silly mistakes is by psychologically telling yourself multiple times before the examination starts that you want to cut down on silly mistakes. And till you get the final answer, your brain should be actively involved in answering the question. Once you get the method, once you get the steps, you should not doze off. Please do like the stream, guys. We have close to 200 people who are watching this stream live, but we have only 61 likes. That is not cool, right? I want to get to at least 250 likes before the stream ends. What is the next thing that you should do to focus during the examination? To focus during the examination, another thing is knowing when to be fully invested and when to be not fully invested. That I think is again important, because in an ideal situation, you should be completely invested for the entire 2 hours. But most of the cases that won't happen because we are human beings. Sometimes you put in a lot of effort. Sometimes you put in a lot of mental effort, you do a lot of intensive things, and after that you don't do a lot of intensive things. So one of the things that I do, which helps me quite a lot, is that switch between the verbal section and the LRDA section. That I think is very, very important, because in my view, LRDA is the make or break section. I am very confident of quant. I feel that I'll be able to do quite well in quant. And verbal also, I feel it is okay. I would not mess up very badly. I might do quite okay. If I do well, I might do very well. Otherwise, I'll have a decent attempt. But LRDA, I feel can go completely, it can go very, very bad. Because LRDA, if you're not getting a set correct, if you are suddenly panicking, if you're very nervous, then it can happen that after 20 minutes, you haven't solved any set. You have wasted a lot of time and you haven't solved any set. So, and then you are completely in a rut. You don't know how to get out of it. That kind of a thing happens, and that will ruin the entire exam. So LRDI for me is the most important section, which I think is the case for most people. So to do well in LRDI, what I do is I switch off my brain for the last 2-3 minutes of verbal. In verbal, most likely I'll be able to complete say most of the RCs, and I'll be left with some verbal questions. Maybe I'll be left with one RC. The last RC where there are say 5-6 minutes left, and I won't give my best because I feel that that is a sacrifice I'm making to ensure that once the LRDI section comes, I'm very focused. So the last 2-3 minutes I try to calm myself down. I do a lot of these breathing exercises where I take in a lot of air so that I calm down, I cool down, and my focus is again back, so that once the section of LRDI comes, I'm on it from the get-go. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm having some sort of a time scramble for the last reading comprehension, and the time runs out. I put in some question, and then my adrenaline is very high at the time when the verbal section is over, because then immediately I feel very tired. When your adrenaline goes up quite a lot, you feel very tired at the end of it, and I don't want to waste the first 3-4 minutes of LRDI, because if you waste the first 3-4 minutes of LRDI to just get your focus back, it is very likely that then you start panicking. Then you feel that okay, and if you get stuck in the first LRDI set, which is also possible, then if you don't solve any question for the first 10 minutes of LRDI, then panic sets in. Then you feel that oh my god, I have messed up completely, what to do? I don't want to be in that kind of a situation. So that is a trick that I use, where the last 2-3 minutes of verbal, I calm down, I ease out. Maybe I'll answer some verbal questions like say para jumbles or para summaries, which are less intensive. They're not as intensive as a reading comprehension. I try to get 1 or 2 questions there, and simultaneously I try to calm myself down so that once the LRDI section comes, I am on it. Somebody is asking off topic, which team are you rooting for this World Cup? This World Cup I'm actually not following at all. From an ideological standpoint, I don't like the way Qatar treated many of the migrant labor. Many of them, thousands of people who went from India to work for the World Cup died. It was basically a slave conditions in which they were forced to work. If you read about it, if you read about how Qatar treated Indians who are working in Qatar to build the World Cup stadiums, you would feel disgusted. So I am completely off this World Cup. I am not discussing it with any of my friends. I'm not following it anywhere, because I feel that is not how a World Cup should happen. The World Cup or any sporting event is a cause of celebration. That is when you look at what humans can actually do. That is basically something that should inspire you. You feel that okay, somebody is not giving up. A team might be losing, but then putting a lot of effort till the last minute, and there are like these inspiring comebacks that happen. So that kind of a event should inspire you. But with everything that is going on in Qatar, I feel it is very unfortunate that a country like that, with the rules that they are having with respect to many of the things that matter to me, I feel it is just unfortunate. And the thing that really broke the camel straw was basically how they treated Indian laborers who were working in Qatar. Thousands of them died while building these football stadiums, and nobody is talking about it. So because of that, I'm not following the World Cup at all. Joydeep is saying you're doing an excellent job. Your explanations are crisp and to the point, and most essentially, you don't beat around the bush. Okay, thanks a lot for the kind words, Joydeep. Satyam is saying, can we take energy drink Red Bull before the examination? In general, I don't believe in all of those things. I have never tried it. And one thing that I'm always worried about is if you are boosting your energy, can you concentrate well? Because CAT is not some running race, right? CAT involves a lot of mental focus. It should not, you should not get hyper. I don't know how these energy drinks work. And you should also be worried if there will be a crash in your energy after, like, say, half an hour. You have an energy drink, you feel like super energetic, and then maybe after 45 minutes you have some sort of a crash. Then will you be able to focus and have that high level of energy for 2 hours? I don't know. I will never use it. And if you haven't used it before, I would recommend you to not use it. East Mahi is saying, sir, please reply, sir. What should I reply? VRC tips. Okay, VRC tips. VRC focus mostly on the reading comprehensions. So, for example, what I do with VRC, my strategy in verbal section is very simple. With respect to the examination, because verbal section is the first section, what I would also want to tell you and what I want to recommend is that go to the examination center at least 1 hour in advance. If the examination for you is at 12:30, if you are in say slot 2, try to reach the examination center at say 11:30, 11:45, and try to sit in your seat latest by 12 o'clock, because again I want you to calm down. I want you to not get nervous or panicky. You should give yourself time to rest. If you, for example, are stuck in a traffic jam, and if you are worried in the middle that whether you'll reach the examination center in time or not, then again your brain is thinking about unnecessary things and it is getting a little tired out. You don't want that to happen. You want your brain to be as calm, as well rested as possible, so that it can work very well in those 2 hours. So reach the examination center definitely early. That actually comes in the verbal ability tips, because verbal is the first section. You want your brain to be quite calm when it is taking the examination. The second thing is the way I approach verbal section is that when the examination starts, my brain is very fresh. It is really looking forward to answering these questions. So I try to solve 2 reading comprehension sets back to back at the start, because I'm quite fresh. Once the examination starts, I look at all the 4 RCs. I try to figure out what are the topics of each of the RC, and I try to figure out what are the RCs that I want to solve first, what is the RC I want to solve next, and I make basically a priority order in which I am going to attempt the RCs, and I try to get the first 2 RCs done at the start. And in reading comprehensions, like I mentioned earlier, there is no coming back. Where if I feel that okay, this is a bad reading comprehension set that I've selected, it doesn't matter. If I made a choice that this seems to be an easy RC, and once I started, I have to finish it, because in verbal you won't get the time to come back to it. So I give my best. The accuracy might not be as good as I would have wanted, but still I would finish that RC set and I would go to the next RC set. This way I finish the first 2 RCs. If the RCs are easy and if I do well, all the better. If the RCs are difficult also, I'll try to give my best and finish those RCs. Then I try to give my brain some rest by going to the verbal ability questions. Verbal ability, I feel, are less intensive as compared to RCs. And then I try to get out of the 8 verbal questions, something like say 4 verbal questions done. Then I come back and I attempt the 3rd RC. Once the 3rd RC is over, I go back and I attempt say 2-3 verbal questions. I finally come back, and by this time I have very little time. I would have maybe 6-7 minutes left. There is 1 RC remaining. I try to breeze through the RC. I try to glance at the RC. I try to figure out the gist of each of the paragraph quite quickly, and then I attempt the questions. The accuracy most likely will be bad, but I try to do some attempt so that out of the 4 questions in the RC, I try to get hopefully say 1 or 2 questions correct. And around this time, like I mentioned earlier, I switch off my brain slightly so that it gets working on the reading LRDI set, LRDI sectional that is coming up. This is basically what I do for verbal sections. Reno Goli is saying, sir, now should I do Cracku Dashcat, topic wise test for QA and LRDA, or your video on 100 most solved and 25 LRDA sets? Today is Tuesday. Try to take 1 mock tomorrow on Wednesday, and after that come back to these videos. The 100 question quant question video, 25 LRDI set video, and the revision videos by Siley. Aman Verma is saying, should I give mocks every day or should I practice or revise different types of questions? Don't give mocks every day. Try to give 1 mock tomorrow or 1 mock on Thursday, and that should be it. Otherwise, just revise the important topics. Okay guys, I'll take 1 more question. Guys, please do like the stream. We have only 117 likes. We have more than 200 people who are watching the stream live, guys. I want to get to at least 200 likes before the stream ends. So please do like the stream. I want to get to 200 likes, because once we get 200 likes, I'll be motivated to do this kind of a stream again tomorrow. You might think it is like petty if somebody is looking at the likes, but likes matter to me. I feel that if people are liking the stream on some level, they are finding the stream useful. If I feel that people are finding the work that we are doing useful, then I can ask my team also to work. Like right now, it is not just me who is putting in this effort. There are people in my team who are also working at 9 p.m. Now, all that we are asking for is share this video with your friends, and please do like this video. I'll be answering 2 more questions, so let me know. Joydeep Ghosh is saying, what should our set selection for DLR be? 4 plus 4 plus 6 or 6 plus 6 plus 4? It is dependent individually. It is also dependent on the sets. All of those things are there, but typically I find the 4 question sets to be slightly on the easier side. So normally I attempt to both the sets of 4 questions first, and then I try to get one set of 6 questions correct. This will be my strategy. Keithan is saying, should I take a guess in Q and LRDA if I eliminate 2 options? That definitely should be the case. That should be the case even in reading comprehensions. If you are able to eliminate even one option for sure, I would recommend you to go for it. And because in general people underestimate their intuition. If you know for certain that one option is wrong, then you have 3 options correct, 3 options left, and one of them is correct. So the expected value will be 0. 1/3 chance that you are going to get plus 3, and 2/3 chances that you will get -1. So actually it is good for you if you are able to eliminate one option for sure. If you know that this is definitely wrong, you should definitely go for it. Devesh Parashar is saying, let's rate this channel with hearts which Cracku deserves since they're putting so much efforts for us. Thanks a lot, Devesh. I really appreciate that sentiment. Rohit is giving love from Maharashtra. Thanks a lot, Rohit. Actually, Saili has gone to Maharashtra, so it is good that I'm getting some love from there. Rishabh Yadav. Hello, sir. Wanted to ask this question yesterday but missed it. What to do in exams if I get stuck in DLR section? How to handle that situation? Thank you. That happens quite a lot. There is no trick to it. So in LRDI, what I always do is, like I mentioned, first in the verbal section, I switch off so that I'm mentally prepared for DLR. And once the section starts, I spend the first 2 minutes in going through all the 4 sets. I figure out that this set is from this topic, this set is from this topic, this set is from this topic, and this set is from this topic. And I try to figure out which are these sets which seem to be easy. Now, how do I figure out whether a set is easy or not? I'll not get it 100% correct. My guess might be wrong, but many times based on the topic, I figure out. That is one clue. The second thing is I look at the first 2-3 questions. I look at the question and I try to figure out if the question, if the group has a particular specific answer or if there are multiple cases involved. Sometimes, for example, in an arrangements question, if you solve the set, you're going to get one arrangement and then you can get all the questions correct immediately. Those are the kind of questions that anyone likes. Those are the kind of questions I like. On the other hand, there will be multiple arrangements possible. In some sets, you are given some information. So even after you put in all the effort, there are multiple arrangements possible. And the questions will be that, okay, if this guy is sitting opposite to this guy, who is sitting somewhere else? Then if this kind of a question is given, where the question involves a case and some additional information is given, which will help us in actually solving this arrangement, those are the sets I try to avoid. Because then I feel that even if I put in a lot of effort, I will not solve the set completely. Then I have to solve each of these questions individually. Then I feel, okay, this set is not something that I'm going to pick first. I would pick a set where if I put in the effort and I get the final arrangement, then I should get all the questions correct immediately. So those are the tricks that I use to make a choice or a priority order in which I plan to attempt the sets. Now, if I get stuck in a set after the first 3-4 minutes, if I feel that, okay, this seems to be gone, then in LRDI, it is very clear. In LRDI, if you stop answering a set, if you feel that a set is difficult, most likely you won't have the time to come back to that set. But that is okay. So you should immediately figure out after the first 4-5 minutes that this set I'm not going to solve. I will not be able to solve this. This seems to be too difficult. I am not making any progress and it is okay. I'll go to the next set in my priority order and I'll try to get that correct. That maturity should always be there. Okay guys, I'll answer one last question and after that we'll call it a day today. If you have any doubts with respect to your preparation, please do comment below this video. If you're looking for any ideas for the stream, if you are having any big issues, again comment below this video so that we can do another stream tomorrow and help you out in making the best use of the last 3 days. How long should you take to decide the set or RC? I basically, in reading comprehension, I first, in verbal section, I look at 4 reading comprehension sets. each reading comprehension, I try to figure out the topic, and I figure out the topic in the first 10 seconds or so. I look at a set, I look at a passage, and I try to figure out what the topic is. Now, there are certain topics that interest me. I am able to concentrate better. If the topic is something that you are interested in, if you have, say, I am interested in, say, politics. If there is a set on politics, most likely whether I agree with the ideology, whether I don't agree with the ideology, it will interest me. I will not be bored. So those are sets that I would definitely be interested in. Something like, say, sports will definitely interest me. So I am definitely going to for sure answer a passage which involves sports, because I'll be able to focus very easily. There are some other topics in science which interest me, like, say, astronomy is something that interests me. So maybe I'll be able to concentrate well. There are topics that I definitely don't like and I find very boring. Many of the European philosophy is something that I don't really like. I find it very boring. So if I feel that this is a set about, say, Greek philosophy, then I feel there is no way I can concentrate and make progress there. So those are the sets that I avoid. Now, for me, I can make a judgment about the topic of a passage in the first 10 seconds or so. So based on that, sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I spend 10 seconds, I figure out this is the topic, but the topic might not be about it. For example, if I feel that this is a topic on Greek philosophy, but maybe it is not about Greek philosophy. Maybe it is about some guy who also finds Greek philosophy boring. So he is actually just giving that example to say why he finds that boring and something else interesting. Then probably it's an easy passage, but maybe I made a mistake. That's okay. But most likely after spending 10 seconds, I get the topic correct and I get the priority order done within the first 1.5 minutes. Same with even LRDA. LRDA I take slightly more time. I can't make a judgment call in the first 10 seconds. So LRDA, for every set I spend around, say, 30 seconds. 30 seconds to figure out what this set is about. I look at the first 2-3 questions to figure out whether this set can be completely solved or whether it has multiple cases involved. If it can be completely solved, I'm incentivized to actually attempt it. If it has multiple cases, I don't want to solve it first. So I spend around 30 seconds on each LRDA set. There are 4 LRDA sets. So within the first 2 minutes, I at least know with a good accuracy what are the easy sets and what are the difficult sets. Okay guys, thanks for tuning in today. We'll do another stream tomorrow. You can let us know what topic you want us to conduct a stream tomorrow.